So welcome back. We're going to start our discussion of segmentation. So we already talked about industry boundaries a little bit, and now that's kind of a nice holistic way of understanding segments. But I think we need just a little bit finer look, because competition really occurs at the localized level with different kind of product groups and specific national or regional levels. So we have to actually take a little bit better look at it. Instead of just looking at boundaries, we have to start shifting into segmentation. Now some of you are thinking, like, what do you mean by competition occurs at the local level? What does that mean exactly? Well, I don't mean local necessarily in a spatial sense, but we could define local geographically based on clients, applications, and technology. Okay? So let me give a geographic example because that's the easiest. Okay? So you may or may not know, Walmart is the world's largest international retailer. The second largest international retailer is Carrefour. That's a French chain. They're located in Europe, South America, and certain parts of Asia, I understand. So they're not really in North America. If I were to go, I'm in Los Angeles, and I were to go to Walmart in Glendale, and if I were to ask that Walmart manager, who do you think your biggest competitor is? I can guarantee that Walmart manager is not going to say Carrefour, because there aren't any Carrefours in North America. They'll probably talk about the Target that's located across the shopping mall parking lot, right? Because from a geographical sense, people go to the mall and they're going to choose, am I going to go to Walmart or Target? Nobody in Los Angeles is thinking about flying all the way to France to go to Carrefour. So their biggest competition would be Target, probably, from a geographical sense, right? And I might ask them, I'd say, well, what about Whole Foods? Do you think that they are your number one competition? And they might say, well, probably not, because it's a different kind of clientele that goes to Whole Foods versus Walmart. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about socioeconomic status. What I mean is that people may go to Walmart and buy their monthly set of groceries there, all the basics, but then they might buy some of the more fancy stuff at Whole Foods, or maybe they go to Whole Foods because they want to eat in the restaurant there, or something like that, right? So it's not so much socioeconomic status for the clients, but it's well, it could be socioeconomic status, but it can also be, why do those clients go to Walmart versus Whole Foods? To buy their monthly groceries or to buy something kind of fancy for a special occasion. Then I can also ask Walmart, well, who do you think is your biggest threat for the future? And you can look at Walmart's main competitive advantage. It's their amazing logistics. Now there's another firm that's known for their logistics too, and that is Amazon. So they may say our biggest threat in the future is Amazon because their logistics systems, the technology that they use to ensure good logistics, are just as good as ours, and we're worried about that. Even though Amazon is not physically located in that same mall, you could argue that the clients are kind of different. Probably you buy a small handful of things on Amazon versus your monthly grocery, but the technology behind the logistics is just as dangerous. So they might actually say Amazon. Okay. So this is important because you look at it from localized perspective, and there's different key success factors in the different segments. We'll talk about key success factors in a couple videos. There's different attractiveness and rules of the game. So for example, if you want to market to European customers, the kinds of products you have would be very different than what Walmart provides. A Walmart shopping experience is nothing like a Carrefour shopping experience. And of course there's different competitors in general, right? Carrefour is also not worried about Walmart. They're worried about Casino and Dia and all these German discounters. Walmart probably doesn't worry about Aldi too much yet. They're probably more worried about Target, Costco, some of these other kind of large hypermarkets. So there's different competitors too. Now, another thing that's important in terms of the basis for segmentation, you have to understand the characteristics of your customers and the characteristics of your product. So you can have different kinds of products to kind of forge your own little segment or niche, and you can market to different kinds of buyers. Okay? And each of these would be examples for opportunities for differentiation. So if you want to talk about the characteristics of a product, right, you might have differentiation for your product because of its physical size, right? I sell like a 50-pound block of butter, and the competitor sells a 10-pound block of butter. Well, the 50-pound block of butter might be great for like industrial-sized high school cafeterias, whereas the 10-pound block of butter might be more suitable for restaurants. So when you have different characteristics of the product, there's also kind of an implied who might your customer be, right? Then you also have the price level, right? I sell a very exclusive, creamy, delicious salted butter, which would of course be maybe more for the gourmet home chef, whereas the competitor sells kind of a low-cost, everyday kind of butter, again, probably used for like a high school cafeteria or something like that. Chris, you want to talk about product features, right? My butter comes in this really fancy packaging that's designed to be shipped in a large truck or on a boat, and the butter won't go bad, versus this other butter, it comes in like a squirt tube. My aunt discovered spray-on butter. Maybe it's spray-on margarine, I'm not sure. It's kind of gross either way. But that would be an example of product feature. So, the exclusive, or the chef that's worried about butter that gets damaged or melted during shipping versus, my aunt who likes to spray butter on her corn on the cob and also on her popcorn, evidently. Anyhow. Yeah. Technology design. You could have something like you put certain chemicals in the butter to make it last longer, or do you go maybe something that's more organic, so not really any technology at all in your butter? What kind of inputs do you use, right? Is your butter made from organic milk and only organic ingredients, or does it use kind of industrialized ingredients that are going to be cheaper? Again, do you look at the health-conscious consumer because of the inputs you use, or do you look at the industrial consumer because of the components that you used? Performance characteristics, you could look at things like taste. And that would also appeal to different kinds of customers. And then, of course, this is less applicable to butter, but pre-sales and post-sale services. So maybe if you're not satisfied with your butter, you can take it back in 30 days. Or if you don't like the butter, too bad, don't buy from us again. So you kind of got both sides there as well. Now, I talk about characteristics of the product, but you can also look which have implications for characteristics of the buyers, and vice versa would also apply. So different characteristics of buyers would also have different kind of implications for the characteristics of the product. So if you look at industrial buyers, they might be very interested in the physical size of a product. They may need like big bulk purchases. They may want technical sophistication of the product, right? And they may be interested in replacement rates, especially with like manufacturing parts, right? So if they're looking at heavy machinery, they'd probably want something that would last for a few years because they're using it every day, whereas maybe a residential buyer might be less interested in that kind of thing because they don't use the products as often. So industrial buyers would have different needs than a residential buyer. A household buyer, a residential buyer, you might look at marketing to different demographic segments, different lifestyle segments, and different purchase occasions, right? Kind of different age groups under demographics, different lifestyles. Is this something that you buy every day, or is it something that you buy once a month? And then, of course, what are the purchase occasions? Is it a holiday purchase, or is it kind of a regular kind of purchase? So you would also have an opportunity for differentiation there as well. Looking at distribution channels. Again, physical size might be important, an important differentiator. How do you actually sell the stuff? Do you go through a distributor or a broker? Do you sell it online? Is it an exclusive product that you have to have like a membership to buy that product, or is it a non-exclusive? And is it more of a generalist product or more of a specialist? So something for everyday cooking, if you're talking about butter, or is it more, when I talk about general or specialist, is it maybe more like general on the Walmart side, or is it maybe more like a specialist store, kind of like Whole Foods if you're talking about butter again? So that'd be the kind of characteristics of buyers, the refined taste versus the less refined taste. And then geographical location, again, where are your customers physically located? So, we'll talk about some different opportunities for differentiation. In our next lectures, we are going to start talking about segmentation analysis, which will eventually lead into our discussion of strategic group mapping and, of course, Porter's 5 forces. So, I hope you've enjoyed these lectures, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.